So Fever coach Stephanie White spoke on Caitlin Clark's injury and had some interesting comments. First, in regards to the timeline and how this occurred and how they found out and everything in relationship to that. This is courtesy of James Boyd of The Athletic, and this was from media availability.
There's so many things when you think about Caitlin and her not wanting to miss games. Obviously, she's a competitor, wants to play. Obviously, everyone wants to watch her play. But for me, it's maintaining perspective, right? It's making sure that we address this in a way that doesn't affect long term. That we take care of it. Don't over push. Don't overexert. Making sure that we take the long game approach to this, so that we're not having lingering issues throughout the course of the season. And I'm glad that sometimes great players don't tell you when they're hurting. I'm glad that she did, because we need to nip this in the bud.
That was an interesting anecdote at the end. I'm glad that she did tell us that she was hurt, because Clark could have kept it hidden and pushed through, and that the Fever might not have known the difference. And that's what I said before about the long game and making sure this isn't something that lingers throughout the season, because you can easily get that stuff to be re-aggravated. And obviously, whether or not it's a new injury or related to the injury or cause and effect directly, whatever it is, they tried to be cautious in the preseason, and she only missed the one preseason game playing it at Iowa. Really wasn't much of a chance to rest and recuperate. So Clark speaking up seemed like a big deal. And this is the rest of, or at least part of the rest of, what Coach White had to say about the injury and the opportunity from the injury. Chloe Peterson's video from media availability.
Steph, do you know when Caitlin's injury happened?
I don't know when it happened. I know afterwards, we got a message that she had something going on with her leg, and they were getting an MRI, and then we got the alert yesterday.
Was it after the Liberty game on Saturday?
Is that their last game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Steph, you had a chance to try out a lot of rotations during the preseason. Do you feel like this group is equipped to make a change like this that will get you through these next couple of weeks?
I think so. I think that's the advantage of our depth, right? And we, Sophie had injury early as well. I think it's the advantage of us, the depth that we added in the offseason, that we're equipped. Certainly we'd rather have it early than late. It's a great opportunity for our team to find an identity. It's a great opportunity for our team to play in a different way. And I also think it's a great opportunity for Caitlin to watch the game from the sideline and to grow in almost like a coaching kind of mindset and see some different things that we might be talking about on film, addressing in practice, to see it develop in live action.
So those are interesting comments to me for a few reasons. One, the implication of playing in a different way, which I'll get to in a second. Obviously, the depth comment stands on its own merits. I mean, the Fever did bring in a lot of talent in the offseason: Sophie Cunningham, DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, etc. And when I look at how they're going to offset the loss of Clark, I think what makes the most sense is to play Cunningham next to Kelsey Mitchell as much as possible, along with Hull, Howard, and Boston. And then, you rely on Bonner to give you a little bit more scoring than she's given thus far this year. She is third all time in scoring. And you hope Colson can provide a punch of sorts, a little bit of a lift of sorts off the bench, as she has not played much this season. And it's not a hugely long stretch of games, assuming it's 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, right? It's just a handful of games. 4 would be the minimum that Clark is going to miss amidst this. Then there's the opportunity to watch from the sideline part, which I guess can be constructive, of course. Yeah, I mean, anytime, I've coached kids, I tell them to watch from the sideline, and Caitlin Clark is so involved in the game so often, so dominating of the action, that she is generally not an observer. I mean, it's been very rare that we've seen her in an observation role, because her bench stints are so short. Regardless, but the play in a different way comment stands out to me the most, because that has been the strife amongst Fever fans, is the way that the off-ball, on-ball aspect has been managed, right? And Stephanie White literally told me when I asked her about that the other day, the balance. She said the best teams are going to take that away. So clearly she's been working and emphasizing on trying to find a way for the Fever to play without Clark having the ball and making all the decisions and the reads. And Clark, before the same game, said, we're at our best when I get the ball in transition. Everybody knows that. And there was an instance in the game where I saw Caitlin frustrated, throw her arms up because she didn't get the ball on the inbounds pass to kickstart the offense. So I think there has been a little bit of a back and forth there. And they're working that out, a work in progress, if you will. And Stephanie White is correct that the best teams are going to try to take the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands, get her above the break, get her full court and all that. Caitlin Clark is also correct that they're at their best when she has the ball in her hands. But in order to activate everything else, I think that is what the coach is saying right now. You get to see what that looks like without you being the focal point the whole time. And we get to see and feel what that looks like without you being the focal point the whole time. And how it can also be effective. But I did, because of such a mutual respect that those two clearly have between each other, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, I did notice the difference in their answers before the Liberty game, or maybe their perspectives, however you want to put it. And then it also stood out to me to hear Stephanie White say that just now, because it emphasizes what she said before. And this is a coach who does know what she's doing. Look, she was able to get a lot of wins out of a Connecticut Sun team that isn't exactly an offensive stalwart. At the same time, Clark, with the ball in her hands, is an inarguable offensive machine. I mean, it's even harder for, let's say, Aaliyah Boston to get the looks that she's gotten. Who's going to get her those looks? Kelsey Mitchell's going to have to create and play make some. Sophie Cunningham's going to have to create and play make some. Obviously, they're going to have to rely on their bigs to score a little bit more. Howard, Bonner, Boston. But this opportunity, if you will, was interesting to hear the coach articulate. Regardless, you hope that Caitlin Clark is back in short order. You hope that Caitlin Clark is back at 100%. And the coach wouldn't be doing her job if she wasn't finding some sort of silver lining in this, some sort of way to spin it positively. And, you don't want to throw her head in her hands and say the season is over. At the same time, maybe Clark, can get some perspective from the bench. Regardless, we know the Fever are a vastly better team. I mean, it can't even be quantified with Clark than without Caitlin Clark. But they're going to need everybody else to be a threat in order to get where they eventually want to be. So you can take the words for what they're worth and decide if you think it's actually an opportunity.